So, today I will be talking about Wendell Berry's poem, The Peace of Wild Things. I'm going to provide both an analysis and an explication of the poem and how one can understand the meaning and the theme of the poem through Berry's techniques. So, I'm going to give you a slight overview of what I'm going to be talking about in this PowerPoint. So, first, I'm going to be talking about tone and setting. Second, it's going to be imagery and diction. And lastly, it's going to be the theme and escapism, which are the themes of the poem. So, um, he had written this piece about how his despair in the world worries him, and that the presence of nature and the wild help him relieve this pressure away from the speaker. So, slide two. Um, Tone and setting. So, both tone and setting helps a reader understand the poem's theme. In Wendell Berry's poem, The Peace of Wild Things, Berry wrote it in free verse. Now, this means that it is a poem that has no set rhyme or in any set meter. This poem also sets the speaker filled with worry, stress, and anxiety, but feels different once in the presence of nature. He brings us to a place of tranquility and restfulness as the poem goes on. To help explain his theme, he uses uh, both imagery and diction. Excuse me. So, imagery and diction in the poem. So, first, I'm going to be talking about line by line. So, in the first three lines of the poem, when despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be. So, here, the first three lines of the poem help set the mood for the rest of the poem. As the poem continues, so does the speaker's tone and feelings. Barry uses diction and imagery to present to the reader to help understand his theme. So currently, within these three lines, the speaker is filled with despair and stress from life's events. Diction used to help indicate such is the words such as despair and fear, which gives a negative connotation to the poem. It also gives us the image that the speaker is just living in the fear of the future. He stays awake at night because of his anxiety and stress. So, Next next slide. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. So in these two lines, he walks away from society and the real world to where the wood drake rests in the water. Here exists a transition of tone and the feelings in the speaker. The first three lines that I previously discussed were filled with fear and stress, but the next two lines talk more calmly. Barry uses these words such as beauty and grace to help describe the imagery and restfulness of nature. Uh, Here you can find that the speaker finds himself comfortable and relaxed in the presence of nature. Diction used in this two line to help indicate restfulness and calmness is beauty and great, which describes the heron and the water, the wood drake. So, I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with the forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. So here, the speaker finds himself at ease with nature and himself. He finds peace and notices how the wild animals do not have a thought about the future. These animals live in the moment. The still water helps symbolize peace and calmness, and Barry uses it to help describe how the speaker feels. The tone is now restful and relaxed. Uh, Through Barry's use of diction, one can imagine that the still water and how peaceful it is. Still water can represent peace and harmony, and he uses this to help display that. The next three lines, and I feel above me the day blind stars waning with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So, in these last three lines, Barry presents the reader with ease and harmony within oneself. The speaker finally achieves peace within nature's presence and lives in the moment, and escapism is present. So, these two are the themes of the poem, and that the speaker only achieved this state of freedom is because of his distancing away from society. The speaker is finally free from all worry and finally learns to live in the moment. The theme of escapism and living in the moment is present in these three lines. To help understand this theme, um, it is through Barry's diction and imagery. Diction being used to help is the rest and grace of the world, and the use of the word free. Here, the imagery in this last three lines state that he's looking up into the stars and how it's so peaceful and quiet and relaxed. Here he feels free away from the world and responsibilities. So, the theme and escapism. So the theme can be in this poem can be taken two ways. One way is living in the moment, and the theme is escapism. Now, what is escapism? Now, escapism is the concept of relief from the stresses of the real world and heavy pressure society. Here, the speaker in the poem feels free from the pressure society through distancing himself or herself away from the world. Sorry. Only through nature does the speaker finally feel at ease and finds peace. Now, what can also be taken from this poem is to live in the moment. Um, Worrying about the future only causes stress, and by living now, it may make one feel at ease. With too much worry and stress, one can feel overloaded and might not know what to do. Taking breaks from the busy world and reality can help ease the workload and find harmony and relaxation. And that is my explication and analysis of Wendell Berry's poem, The Peace of Wild Things. Thank you.